So, I was thinking about the simplest things about the human to human contact, the field in between us and what we can create. For most of my attractions between masculine males would be the different points that activates me and or turns me on to undergo the melting points or phases. A point like accelerated heart rates and or thermal activations and or expressions, how different expansions could be a point like particles, or the charge would be how the blood and the magnitudes express radiations of a specific charge system and or density with the sexual tension
Sorry, I kind of
in
sound
between
swallowed.
each other, applying the different brush phases of that point like particle discovered in between the attraction and or the magnetic field. Examples of radiative effects like pleasure and or intensive thoughts. Now, I'm not into educating. My expressing was just a lot of misconnections and or misunderstandings of me. Searching for someone, well, the field itself traveled over time in different distances. That would seem kind of a way
Insulation on
for
my
you
face is
competing.
very dry.
Thus, the directions that would seem a little distortive to people looking for, trying to find a trail of fire and are trying to stay into light production trails where the path of colliding is only in between discovering the possibilities of gravitational waves and the degrees of plasma that could potentially surge and ripple through us together. As aligned together in a tightly bond duration, the discovered half-lives, flowing streams of flux out of our bonds, the world would never be able to sustain but us because of our discoveries of colliding through our magnetic field itself. As a logic gate system, the pair of all pairs, the realm of dimensions that only light could stream, and the range we could drive closed into the presence of a found flame. As the collision frequency creates an ion channel and or a capacitor of ion channels conducting a net force of electrons around us, fixed into our wavelengths, our magnetic field, and working around it, while the particles around us, carrying us through Earth's electrostatic with our newfound electromagnetic field strength, our sail through quantum curvature. However long the bonds we create sustains our magnetic field through time, our microgravity and its gravitational strength. Thus, a lot of people are too outside to things. Like, for example, more people watch porn and are used toys. Now, toy exploration is simply out of their interests. Thus, personally, I am into the infinity of forcing molecular formations to be found, created, discovered, and more with all of the ways we could create molecular bonds in our formulas of the provided discovered electrostatic phases in between each other. Now, before I express a lot about the sexual chemistry of our body, it's already in various phases, states of storing basic chemicals to be used in the applied motion of internal actions and intermolecular forces through thoughts and phases. So, the body produces all types of chemical bonds and storage of bonds in many ways. So, when near an active system of polarization and or an excited system of producing stored chemical and or kinetic data, that discoveries of plasma becomes from the photoelectric effects being discovered and the heart rate sustaining different flux-like penetrations and shields through electronic densities of the mind and body. While during penetration, express potential aligning or anti-aligning to pulse-like configurations of potentially conducting and or spark activating microgravity, expressing spin conductance of electrons, net force of electrons, ratios of point-like electronic conductance, pulses are keys of internal emission waves through kinetic transfers of emission states, both systems expressing the aligning at specific wavelengths along with the propagations at the specific kinetic density, expressing the aligned tune to the pleasure being the gauge to into manifolds, and or where the atomic levels express the nuclear phases of both bodies undergoing and releasing of chemicals to change the thermal states of the body. It never functions at the aligned heart rate. Oh, sorry, it wasn't never. Anyways, at the state of the mind and body expressing transitional phases where the nuclear phases are not just getting off, because at the aligned state of the chemical collision and colliding during the duration of the specific photoelectrons produced of both halves of the field, the charges in between express how the half-lives of the magnetic moments produce more than the photoelectrons in every surge, becoming plasma and or plasma waves where it is constant, long durational melting points. Now, the chemical collisions are at a state of constant molecular forming, from plasma waves constantly being produced, hearts constantly producing and aligning behavior, into streams of magnetic flux from the alternating energy being and direct plasma experience. Now that you have made it past the molecular creation states, molecular storage states from constant heart to heart aligning, you're now into the reproduction level, past molecular, X-ray, gamma rays, cosmic rays, every level that's deeper between the electromagnetic shields of internal plasma waves and or the plasma states that where only the heart can tune. The blood is electronic body reactor to the plasma state, and the brain is more left or right or all center expressing past molecular levels. If most successful molecular bonds are formed, then the center of the brain experience would accelerate due to the active left or entire right being balanced from both bodies sustaining chemical levels for both left and right plasma expressions is all reproduction to the center of the brain. Sorry about the short notes. Was a more quicker example of the atomic universe and the microgravity. Thus, the microgravity is an infinity itself because atoms can have many fixed orbital patterns and our frequencies or orbital pattern productions when aligned in between two. Most of the thermal magic becomes expressed as atoms align and spin, transfer the entangled expressions of real numbers and magic numbers. Atoms can make various patterns, some single fixed axis and or axis fixed, some multiple coordinated orbital patterns or directions, and or axis fixed, or many more phases, where the spin can be more up, down, or even spiral in angles and degrees in motion. So during the sexual encounter, it's pretty much can only be discovered when both are gravitationally next to each other, activating, turning each other on at first activation of production cellular signals. This is all drive when the drive express potential energy and the physical energy is both right side and left side of the brain, while magnetic field and the logic gate is mostly heart and center of the brain. Magnetic field would heavy chemical bond, photoelectric production, electric spin, coordinated spin, spin to spin effects, discovery of flux, nuclear half-life rate of fusion during flux, discovery of streams, discovery of surge, discovery of plasma, mostly at molecular level production. It gets lightly hypnotic. Everything after is more heavy half-life production. If you get to any of those states, mostly it's like a gauge range, thus ranges of infinitive could make an XYZ graph, and a distance of charges together express a cluster of photoelectronic points, and the like position of a specific nuclear spot of point-like collisions where the planet curve would express a magnetic field, potential of the stellar alignments. Sorry if that didn't make any sense. No, I was trying to express something. Um, Basically, my expression it was a little accelerated.